Hey there, my friend, and welcome back to the English Pod community. I'm really glad you pressed play today, because we're going to talk about something personal and powerful. This episode is all about how I use English to talk to myself, and why it completely transformed the way I think, speak, and feel about the language. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Talking to myself? Isn't that strange? Trust me, I used to think the same thing. But here's the truth. You don't need a classroom. You don't need a teacher. You don't even need a speaking partner. You need yourself, your voice, your thoughts, and the courage to start using English even when no one's around. Today, I'm going to share how I turned my own thoughts into practice, how I started training my brain to think in English, even when I was tired, even when I was shy, and even when no one else believed I could. This isn't about theory. It's about practice. Real, daily, quiet practice that builds confidence from the inside out. So if you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever waited for the right time to speak English, or if you've been searching for a way to build fluency at home, this episode is for you. Because the truth is, fluency doesn't start with speaking to others. It starts with how you speak to yourself. I still remember the moment I talked to myself in English for the very first time. I was sitting alone in my room, feeling completely defeated. I had just come back from a group conversation where everyone was speaking English. Fast, natural, confident. I, on the other hand, had barely said 2 words. I just smiled and nodded, pretending to understand everything. But inside, I felt frustrated, embarrassed, like maybe English just wasn't for me. That night, I looked in the mirror, not to practice pronunciation, not to rehearse a speech, but just to talk, out loud, to myself. I said, "Why can't I do this? I know the words. I study every day." And then something strange happened. I kept going. I'm just tired of feeling afraid. I want to speak freely. I want to feel like English is part of me. I wasn't trying to be perfect. I wasn't even trying to be correct. I just wanted to let the words come out. Raw, unfiltered, imperfect. And they did. It felt awkward. I laughed at myself. I paused. I forgot words. But in that tiny, quiet moment, I finally started using English. Not for a test, not for a teacher, just for me. And honestly, that moment changed everything. Because it made me realize, if I could speak to myself without fear, I could speak to anyone. That was the beginning of a new habit. Not a big one, not a loud one, but a real one, and a powerful one. And in this episode, I'll show you exactly how I built that habit, and how you can too. Ready to keep going? Let's dive deeper. Let's talk about why self-talk, this simple, quiet practice of speaking English to yourself, actually works. And not just a little bit. I mean, it really works. It changes how your brain learns, how your confidence grows, and how your fluency flows. First, let's talk brain training. When you speak to yourself, your brain gets to practice forming sentences without pressure. You're not in front of someone, worrying about being judged. You're not performing. You're simply processing out loud. And that activates the parts of your brain responsible for speech production, grammar recall, and vocabulary connection. Think about it like this. The brain is like a muscle. Every time you speak in English, even to yourself, you're giving that muscle a little workout. You're building pathways that help English come to you faster, with less thinking and more feeling. Second, self-talk builds confidence. When I started doing this regularly, I noticed something huge. I didn't just feel more fluent. I felt braver. Why? Because I had already heard my voice in English. I'd already practiced saying things, messy, awkward things, without anyone judging me. So when I had to speak to someone else, it didn't feel so scary anymore. I'd already had the conversation with myself. That's the beauty of self-talk. It's private. It's safe. You can make as many mistakes as you want. You can forget a word, pause, laugh at yourself, and try again. And no one's there to correct you. Only you. And finally, let's talk about memory recall. Have you ever learned a new word and then completely forgotten it in conversation? I have, many times. But when I started using new words in my self-talk, just casually, like today was exhausting or I need to take a break, those words started to stick. Why? Because I wasn't just memorizing. I was using them in real emotional situations. That's how memory works. We remember what we use. We remember what matters. And when you use English to describe your own life, your own feelings, it matters. It becomes part of you. So if you've been scared to speak, or stuck in silent study mode, or just tired of waiting for the perfect conversation partner, start with you. Self-talk is free, it's private, and it's powerful. You don't need permission. You just need a few minutes, and your own voice. And guess what? You already have both. Let's keep going. Mornings used to be just mornings. I'd wake up, scroll through my phone in silence, think in my native language, and rush through the routine without really being present. But everything changed when I made one tiny decision: to start living my mornings in English. It began with a whisper, literally. One morning, I opened my eyes, and instead of thinking, "Ugh, I'm tired," in my own language, I whispered, "Let's get up." Just 3 words, but they felt different, empowering, like I was gently switching on the English part of my brain without even trying. Now, every day starts like this. I wake up, stretch, and say, "Good morning, I didn't sleep enough," but we move. Then I slide out of bed and mutter, "Okay, let's make some coffee." You see, I don't treat English like a lesson. It's just my morning voice now. When I brush my teeth, I think, this toothbrush is almost done. I need a new one soon. I walk into the kitchen and say, "What's on my list today? Anything urgent?" These aren't complicated sentences. They're short, casual, and 100% useful. The key is this: I'm not forcing vocabulary. I'm just narrating what I'm already doing. And because these actions happen every single day, they give me repetition without boredom. Here are some useful expressions I use every morning. I need a few more minutes. When I hit snooze. Where's my phone? Every single morning. Let's keep it simple today. When I don't feel like doing much. These phrases became automatic because they're attached to my habits. And that's where the magic is. You don't need to study harder. You just need to attach English to your routine. Another thing I do? I speak to the mirror. Not a long speech, just one sentence. "You've got this." It's become my morning affirmation. And yes, I say it in English. So here's the takeaway. You don't need to add more to your morning. You just need to change the language of what you're already doing. Your life is full of English practice. You just have to unlock it. Start tomorrow. The moment you wake up, say one sentence out loud, in English. Doesn't matter if it's perfect. Just make it yours. Because the way you start your day shapes the way your brain speaks. Let's keep going. Narrating your actions might sound silly at first, but trust me, it's one of the most powerful habits I've ever developed in my English journey. It's like this. Your brain loves patterns. And when you speak out loud while doing everyday things, brushing your teeth, pouring your tea, picking out your socks, you're literally building fluency around the life you already live. Let me walk you through part of my day. I wake up, stretch, and instead of just moving in silence, I say, I'm getting out of bed now. Simple, clear, present tense. My brain doesn't need to work too hard, and that's the point. As I walk to the sink, I say, I'm brushing my teeth. Then a few seconds later, I'm rinsing my mouth. Now I'm washing my face. These are not advanced phrases, but they're real, and they become part of your internal English map. When I go to the kitchen, I'll say, let's boil some water. I'm making green tea today. Where's the spoon? Even if you live alone, this habit creates the feeling of immersion. You're giving your brain the exact input it needs. Real-life English, connected to real-life actions. Here's what's really cool. When you narrate in English daily, you stop freezing in real conversations. Why? Because your tongue is already used to the sentence, I'm looking for my keys. So when someone asks, what are you doing? You're ready. Here's a small tip. Use the present continuous tense. I'm putting on my jacket. I'm tying my shoes. I'm locking the door. Repeat these sentences every day. Say them softly. Say them like a rhythm. Let your brain get used to English as the language of your life, not just your lessons. So, your challenge today? Narrate your next 3 actions in English. Out loud. Doesn't matter if you're alone. That's the magic. You're not just learning English. You're living it. Let's move on. Now, let's talk about something that changed my relationship with English forever. Emotional self-talk. Most people think English is just about vocabulary and grammar. But I've learned it's also about emotion. About how you talk to yourself when no one's watching. About the words you use, not just to describe the world, but to comfort yourself, to stay strong, to keep going. I remember one tough day. I had tried to speak in English at a cafe, and I completely froze. The person didn't understand me. I walked out feeling embarrassed. That night, I sat on my bed, and instead of beating myself up in my native language, I whispered, it's okay, I'm doing my best. That sentence, I'm doing my best, was like a hug. In English. From that day on, I started using English not just to describe what I do, but how I feel. I began practicing emotional phrases like, I feel tired, but I'm proud of myself. It's okay to make mistakes. Tomorrow will be better. These are simple, but powerful. Because emotional fluency is just as important as grammatical fluency. When you can say things like, I'm frustrated, but I'm learning. I don't feel confident today, but I'll keep going. You're building a relationship with English. A deep one. And something amazing happens. The more you speak your emotions in English, the more naturally you start thinking in English. Even when you're not trying. Even when you're tired, anxious, or feeling low. So here's your gentle challenge. Tonight, when you're brushing your teeth or lying in bed, say one kind thing to yourself in English. It could be as simple as, I'm learning. I did something brave today. I'm grateful for this small step. You don't need perfect grammar to be kind to yourself. You need real English, the kind that touches your heart. Because fluency doesn't just happen in conversation. It starts deep inside you, with the words you use when no one else is listening. Ready for the next step? Let's keep going. Have you ever been stuck in your thoughts, trying to decide what to do next, what choice to make, or how to fix something? That's where most people overthink in their native language. But one day, I tried something new. I asked myself a question. In English. Should I do this now? And then I responded. Again, in English. Maybe I'll try something different. It wasn't perfect, but that little exchange inside my mind felt real. And that's when I realized decision-making is one of the best opportunities to practice real English. Every time you plan your day, think through a problem. Decide between two options. You can use English. It might sound like this. What do I need to focus on first? Let me check my list. I think this will work better. These are real-life phrases, not textbook grammar drills, but the kind of thoughts native speakers have every single day. The more I used English to solve small problems, the more natural it felt in bigger conversations too. When someone asked for my opinion, I already had the language ready, because I'd practiced it with myself. It's like training your brain to think in English logic. And here's the best part. You don't need extra time. You're already solving problems every day. Just start doing it in English. Try it today. Ask yourself, what should I do next? How can I fix this? What's the easiest way? And when you start answering in English, even just a few words, that's fluency in action. You're not waiting for the perfect moment. You're building real English, right in the middle of real life. I still remember the first time I stood in front of my mirror and tried to speak English. Just me, my reflection, and a quiet room. No one else around. And yet, my heart was beating fast. It felt strange at first, looking into my own eyes and saying things like, "Good morning. How are you today? You've got this. Let's do one thing at a time." But after a few tries, something clicked. I stopped worrying about sounding perfect, and I started focusing on how the words felt. I noticed how I was saying them, my tone, my speed, my expression. I saw how my face moved, how my mouth shaped the sounds. And suddenly, English wasn't just a subject I was learning. It became something I was living. Speaking in front of the mirror helped me train not just my vocabulary, but my presence. I started using hand gestures naturally. I raised my eyebrows when asking questions. I smiled when I said something kind. I learned to feel what I was saying, not just recite it. And here's what's powerful. When you practice like this, you're training your communication skills, not just your grammar. You're building emotional fluency. So if you ever feel shy or unsure about how you sound, try this. Stand in front of a mirror. Look into your own eyes. Say one full sentence in English. Then another. Then another. Talk about your day, your goals, even your feelings. Use gestures. Smile. Pause. And most of all, don't judge yourself. The mirror doesn't care if you make a mistake. It's there to reflect your progress, to show you that your voice is real and powerful. Because when you can speak to yourself with confidence, you're already one step closer to speaking with the world. Here's something that completely changed how I speak English, and made it way more fun, too. I started pretending I was being interviewed. Yes, seriously, like I was on a podcast or a YouTube talk show, just me and my imagination. I'd sit down, turn on my phone's voice recorder, or just face the mirror and say, "Welcome to the show. Today we have a very special guest, me." Then I'd jump right into it. "So, what's your favorite food?" And I'd answer like I was talking to a real audience. "Well, I'd say pizza, especially the kind with thin crust, spicy sauce, and lots of cheese. But I also love trying new dishes, Korean food, Indian curries, anything with bold flavor." At first, it felt a little weird. I'd laugh at myself or forget what to say, but that's part of the magic. It's safe, it's relaxed, and it helps you think in English without pressure. Some days I'd ask myself, "What's your hometown like?" And I'd say, "It's a small place with friendly people. We've got a local market where you can smell fresh fruit and hear everyone chatting. It's quiet, but I love it." You see how much vocabulary that naturally brings out? You're not just saying random words. You're telling stories, using emotion, and practicing real-life topics. Over time, I got better at expressing opinions, describing things in detail, and even using humor. And the best part? I wasn't copying anyone. I was finding my own English voice. So here's what I want you to try tonight. Pick 2 questions. Simple ones. What's your dream job? How do you spend your weekends? And answer them out loud, just like you're on a show. Have fun with it. Be playful. Smile while you speak. Because when you start treating English like a real conversation with yourself, not just study time, you build natural fluency. And your confidence? That starts to grow without you even realizing it. Let me tell you a secret that completely changed how I speak English and made it sound way more natural. Repetition. Not boring, robotic repetition. I'm talking about real English. From real people, in real conversations. At one point in my journey, I realized that I didn't need more vocabulary. I needed to make the vocabulary I already knew automatic. I needed it to live on my tongue, not just in my head. So I started listening to podcasts, the kind with real conversations, not scripted lessons. I picked clips that were just 2 or 3 minutes long, and I played them again and again. But I didn't just listen. I copied, word for word, tone for tone, emotion and all. For example, I'd hear someone say, "Oh, I totally get what you mean." Then I'd pause the audio, take a breath, and say it myself. "Oh, I totally get what you mean." And I'd do it again and again, with a smile, with a sigh, with excitement, until it felt like my phrase, not just something I learned, but something I owned. This is called shadowing, and it's powerful. Because it doesn't just train your mouth, it trains your brain to think in full phrases, not individual words. Here's a tip for you. Choose one short phrase today from a podcast, movie, or YouTube video. Something like, "You've got to be kidding me. It's up to you." Let me think about it. Then repeat it 3 times, out loud, with feeling. Try this every day, even just for 5 minutes. Because repetition isn't boring, it's how your brain learns rhythm, emotion, and fluency. Before you know it, these phrases will start coming out automatically. In conversations, in voice notes, even in your thoughts. And that's when you'll realize you're not just learning English anymore, you're living it. Let's talk about something that used to scare me, but now I actually love it. Hearing my own mistakes. Yep, I'm talking about recording myself, listening back, and noticing what went wrong. Not to be hard on myself, but to grow. At first, it was super awkward. I'd record a voice note, maybe talking about my day, or explaining how I felt. And when I listened to it later, I'd hear things like, "I go yesterday to market," or "He don't understand me." Mistakes, small ones, but there they were, right in my ears. And here's the truth. I used to cringe. I used to think, "Ugh, I'll never sound fluent." But over time, I changed the way I looked at it. I stopped judging myself and started listening like a coach, not a critic. I'd ask myself, what's the pattern here? Do I always mix up past tense? Do I forget the S in third person? And little by little, I began to fix those patterns, not through more study, but through awareness. The key is this. You can't change what you don't notice. So here's what I do now. Once or twice a week, I record a 1-minute voice note in English. I talk about anything. What I ate, what I'm thinking, something I'm excited about. Then I listen. Not to sound perfect, but to sound real. And if I notice a mistake, I don't get upset. I smile. Because that mistake is now a doorway to better speaking, better thinking, better fluency. So please, be kind to yourself. Catching mistakes isn't failing. It's learning. And every time you record, review, and repeat, you're one step closer to speaking with clarity, confidence, and ease. Let's talk about the most peaceful part of the day, bedtime. But not just for rest. Bedtime can be a beautiful moment to connect with your English. Now, I used to spend my nights scrolling, overthinking, or replaying awkward conversations from the day. But then I asked myself, what if I ended my day with calm English instead of chaos? That's when I started using bedtime self-talk. Not long, not loud, just soft thoughts in English to close the day. It began with one simple question. What did I learn today? Maybe I learned a new phrase, like, take it easy. Or maybe I just noticed how a native speaker said, you know what I mean? In a show I watched. Then, I'd follow it with something gentle and positive, like, I did my best today. Tomorrow is a new start. I'm proud I practiced. These aren't just sentences. They're self-care in another language. Here's a little trick. Use soft, sleepy vocabulary. Words like quiet, cozy, rest, peaceful, calm. Let those words become part of your emotional vocabulary, not just your grammar. And if you want to go one step further, turn off your lights, lie down, close your eyes, and whisper one dream sentence to yourself. Something like, tomorrow, I'll speak with more confidence. Or, I'll think in English just a little more. That's it. No pressure, no perfection. Just your voice, your thoughts, in English. And slowly, with this habit, your brain will start to feel safe in English. That's where fluency grows, not from force, but from gentle repetition. So tonight, ask yourself, what did I learn today? What do I want to feel tomorrow? Say it in English. Say it softly. And let the words carry you into peaceful sleep, in your new language. I still remember the exact moment it happened. It wasn't in a classroom, it wasn't during a test, it was in a bakery, a small, simple place with the smell of fresh bread and the quiet hum of soft music in the background. I was standing in line, thinking about what I wanted to buy. And without even realizing it, I was talking to myself, in English. Okay, let's get something sweet today. Maybe a cinnamon roll. If they ask, I'll say, just one, please. I didn't even notice I was doing it. It felt so natural. Then came the moment. The cashier smiled and asked, what can I get you? And the words just came out. Hi, I'll take a cinnamon roll, please. For here, no hesitation, no translation, no panic. The person behind the counter nodded and said, no problem. Anything to drink? And again, I replied, just a glass of water, thanks. I stepped aside, sat down with my cinnamon roll, and that's when it hit me. I had just had a full conversation in English, without thinking, without planning. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was mine. And that moment meant more than any textbook exercise ever could. Because for the first time, I wasn't trying to speak English. I was just speaking. That's the power of daily self-talk. You don't always see the progress right away. It builds quietly, in the background. But one day, the words come, and you realize you've changed. Not just your language, but your identity. And it all started with one sentence whispered to myself. One habit. One voice. Yours. Let's get practical. Maybe you've been listening to this episode and thinking, okay, I get it. But where do I even start? I've got you. This is the exact three-step starter plan I used when I was nervous, shy, and unsure. It's simple, quick, and easy to do, even if you only have 5 minutes a day. Here's your self-talk blueprint. Step 1. Narrate one simple action. That's it. Pick anything you're doing right now. It could be, I'm brushing my teeth. I'm opening the fridge. I'm choosing a shirt. Say it out loud. Say it twice if you want. You're not writing an essay. You're just building connection between thought and language. Step 2. Ask yourself one question. In English. Every day. It could be something deep. What am I grateful for today? Or something simple. What should I eat for lunch? The magic isn't in the question. The magic is in answering it. Even if your answer is messy, short, or funny, speak it anyway. It gets easier with time. Step 3. Mirror talk. 2 minutes a day. I know. It sounds strange. But trust me, standing in front of the mirror and speaking to yourself changes everything. It makes you more confident, more aware, and more expressive. You're practicing eye contact, body language, and speech all at once. You could say, hey, you're doing your best. Let's keep going. What do you want to improve this week? Start small. Keep it light. Make it fun. This isn't homework. This is you discovering your voice in English. No pressure, no judgment. Just you and your words. Try this today and tomorrow, and for 1 week. You'll be amazed how quickly your English becomes yours. Not just something you study, but something you live. So, here's the truth I've learned through this journey. You are your best language partner. Yes, you. Not a teacher. Not an app. Not a classroom. You. With your voice, your ideas, your emotions. All in English. You don't need perfect grammar to speak to yourself. You don't need to impress anyone. You just need to begin. That's what fluency really is. The courage to connect with yourself in the language you're learning. So here's your challenge. Today, talk to yourself in English for 5 minutes. That's all. Set a timer. Walk around. Whisper if you have to. Look in the mirror. Narrate your actions. Ask yourself a question. Answer it. Laugh. Make mistakes. Keep going. 5 minutes. That's where your fluency starts. And if you do it, I want to hear from you. Subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, or comment your favorite self-talk phrase. Let's grow together. One sentence at a time. One moment of confidence. One real voice. Yours. Speaking English. Thanks for spending this time with me. Now go talk to yourself. You've got this.